Hey everyone, welcome back to Aliens on Toast Gaming, and unfortunately I've had a bit of a rough week this week in terms of recordings, because all of them corrupted on me, which means I've both lost the original files and the edits I've done, and for some reason this is only the Isle videos, so only the videos I had recorded for the Isle I have lost. But that's okay, because that gave me the kick in the ass that I needed to actually get started on a new project that I wanted to work on, which is looking at the, well, now canned dinosaur dossiers from the game. These were released quite some time ago through the Isle Discord, and they've now been, well, they're not technically canon anymore. They've got their own dossiers available in-game. In my opinion, the ones in-game are really weak. They kind of just show the size, and that's about it. That's all the kind of interesting info that is available, whereas these original ones, which were canon at one point, had a lot more style, had a lot more flair, had a lot more interesting things to look at. I mean, if I was playing and I wanted to get some information on a dinosaur, I would probably read through these. In regards to Ark Survival Evolved, they've got their own dossiers, and I can tell you, I have read through so many of those that I couldn't count them. I like reading through them. They're a nice visual description of the characters that are involved in this game, and that's something that is lacking from the current ones. But because these were once canon, we can assume that the info provided on them is, at least in some form, planned to be included in the final game. So what I want to do is look through these, just have a look at some of the cool information they provide about the dinosaurs, the actual artwork itself, just like the whole dossier, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I want to have a look at these and just kind of analyze what's going on inside them. And for today's video, we're starting at the bottom of the carnivore tree, which is the Velociraptor, or the Swift Thief. According to this, it was discovered in 1924, which means it isn't actually that old. There's a lot of dinosaurs that are older than this, but in the grand scheme of things, we haven't known about the Velociraptor for that long. It was in the Cretaceous period that this guy was running around. And if we have a look up here at his vital statistics, whoa, that is way too far. We can see that he's a piscivore, he's a scavenger, which means he eats fish, and he will pick the bones off other dead animals that he finds lying around. He's only 2 meters tall, which if we have a look back down here, means he's just taller than what looks like maybe an Australian sheepdog in the background, or a German shepherd. He's not that big. He is definitely not the giant size that was included in Jurassic Park. That was not something that that was real. So it's 2 meters in length, 1 meter in height. Its weight class is extra small. This guy only weighed 15 kilos. The damage type is bleed bite. Now that's really interesting because they've now started production and plan to release soon the pounce animations for all of the raptor types. And this guy's main damage type is bleed and bite, or well, a bleeding bite, which means that it kind of lends itself to both the raptor line, because it is a raptor, and to the giga line, just because of that bleed, which makes it a good starting point for the carnivores. It has excellent night vision, which in-game is echoed. It does have great night vision in-game. Its sense of smell requires further study, and I wonder if that is because the scent mechanics that have been kind of, not promised, but hinted at for so long, seem to be kind of taking a backseat, and if they get around to it before final release, they will get around to it, but they have no real plans of implementing it right away, or at least that's what has been revealed to the public. Its temperament is aggressive, social, so in reality's point of view, the Velociraptor would have probably been a very social animal. Think hyenas or wolves, or even like meerkats to some extent, because these guys formed a pack. They would have hunted in packs because they are very small, they are very lightweight, which meant they were very brittle. If you had a raptor trying to take on something as big as a Diablo, they would have a hard time doing it by themselves. But if you've got 6 raptors teamed up on the sides of one of these things, you can take down things that are so much bigger than you just because of the sheer numbers side. If you have a look at how African hunting dogs hunt today, that's the kind of group dynamic that they suspect was present in Velociraptor. Overall stamina of this guy is down as a high metabolic rate, which means this guy's going to need to eat quite frequently, which, again, is echoed in the game. Now, its prey items. This part is really interesting. So this is figure 2. In the carnivore's den, the pack feasts on assorted remains of Psittaco, Dryo, and Gallimimus. That is hinting that these 3 dinosaurs are probably the main food source for a raptor. The one that's interesting is the Gallimimus, because Gally can one-shot the heck out of Velociraptors at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see if the devs decide to keep going with this idea that the Gally is going to be one of the main food sources for a Velociraptor. It's just going to be really interesting. Velociraptors are so tiny that their diet consists almost entirely of lower tier herbivores such as Dryosaurus. Short, dumpy dinos of that ilk just cannot escape such speedy predators and have little to no defense against that savage bite. So we can see that in game at the moment. Whenever a Velociraptor tries attacking something like a taco, the taco is going to go down. There is no way the taco can live through that attack. It may as well just lie down and wait for the Velociraptor to finish it off. But anything kind of bigger than that, so anything in the second tier, so for example, the Dryo, the Ava, definitely, will kind of pose a bit more of a threat to these guys. I know Dryo is down here as one of their main prey items, but a Dryo could fend off against a Velociraptor. Even though they're almost the same size, the Dryo is going to have almost as much power behind its attacks against such a lightweight dinosaur such as the Velociraptor. I mean, we can see from this visual diagram that it has a weak net, it has a super light build, it's pretty much just a hit and run, get out of there quickly because we cannot survive fighting there for a long period of time type dinosaur. Put that on your job description, Velociraptor. However, to make up for that, it's got its short snout full of ripping teeth and binocular vision. Pointing out the vision is actually something interesting and something I've been kind of wondering for a while, whether they would implement a system that replicates how dinosaurs would see. So for example, maybe making the Triceratops really short-sighted, kind of how a rhino would be nowadays, and having it rely on things in its immediate vicinity, and not being able to see all the way across the map at all times. That would be something really interesting to see. I'm not sure if the Isle would include that because that seems far too realistic for the build that they're going for. I mean, they've already indicated that they're not going for pure realism because the hypo is included, but it could be something they pursue in the end. I'm not 100% sure. Now over here we've got the claw, which is probably the defining trait of the Velociraptor. Besides that imposing silhouette that we can see here, the claw is its killing detail. The claw on a Velociraptor, on a Utahraptor, on a, I think it's a Titanoraptor, that was what brought down prey. They would use that to either anchor into a dinosaur when they're latching onto the side of them, or slashing, similar to how claws are used by animals today. But with one that's the size of your middle finger, that's going to do some damage. The Velociraptor is famed for having a single enlarged digit on each foot, both ending in long curved claws. It is a common trait among raptors, and while bigger examples like Utahraptor use these to latch onto prey, in Velociraptor they have a different purpose. Kicking off with their long curved claws as a sprint provides additional speed and lift, which also makes them astonishing jumpers. So there, they mentioned that the Utahraptor uses these to latch on, but the Velociraptor is going to use these claws as a way of launching itself off the ground, and we can kind of see that nowadays, because Velociraptor does leap around like a bitch. It is pretty crazy. So whenever you see a Velociraptor, they'll probably be jumping around like crazy, or if not, hiding in the bushes. Because Velociraptors have such a small stature, it's hard to hit them. And it's nice that the original dossier kind of included that as a feature. It would also be interesting to see if the claw being used as kind of like a grapple against the ground ended up getting used kind of as... Ooh, don't want to zoom in that far. Kind of as something to climb up walls. So if the Velociraptor was trying to escape maybe a larger Utah raptor, or even a Hera or an Ostro, maybe being able to kind of scamper up a cliff face just to get away from it long enough to then make a dash for the forest. That would be very cool to see. But it's cool that they're thinking about these things. I didn't think that the claw would be used in that manner, and that is very fascinating. But last and not least, I want to get to this picture up the top here, because this is what's really interesting. That is the combat notes. Velociraptor is near the bottom of the food chain, but being small has advantages. They can easily hide in tall grass and bushes in order to ambush prey or evade predators. Lightly built with long legs, these swift hunters move exceedingly fast, easily chasing down food and escaping those who might view Velociraptor as a meal. They are also incredibly intelligent hunters in combat. In combat, a pack will use their large numbers to confuse prey by attacking from all sides, offering no chance for it to focus and fight back. And here we have a pack of 4 Velociraptors fighting off a Taco. Or trying to take down a Taco in their case. And that's really interesting. That's cool that they've included how it's intelligent, how it hunts in a pack, how it moves fast, and how its small stature allows it to plan ambushes. Very interesting. But what really gets me riled up is this Velociraptor up here. And you can see that it's got these 4 quills sticking out of its face. And the only thing that I can think of to kind of account for that would be the tail of the Taco. Now, does that mean that in the future the devs plan on adding kind of a defense mechanism for the Taco? So maybe if you went and attacked those modified feathers on the back of its tail, whether those got stuck in you and did damage over time, and you couldn't bite down again for a certain amount of time, giving the Taco a chance to escape. Is that something they've thought about? Because remember, this was once canon, which meant that this picture had to run past the devs at one point in time. So it'd be really interesting to see that as a feature. So we can see that these 4 raptors have surrounded this poor Taco. He's been sliced a bit, he's bleeding pretty heavily. He's probably not gonna make this, but at least he's keeping up, he's fighting back against this one poor Velociraptor in the corner, who's gonna have to spend some time pulling out those barbs. But overall, I think this is a really nice depiction of the iconic Velociraptor. The swift thief as he is, jumping in and stealing as much food as he can, or maybe running in from the bush, biting away with those ripping teeth that it has, causing bleed on those smaller dinosaurs. It's just a really cool adaptation and interpretation of Velociraptor, and I like it. It's probably one of the only games I've seen so far where Velociraptor isn't 6 feet tall and able to take down everything. And it's nice to see that kind of realism. So, anyway, I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you very much for watching the first episode of the Isle Dossier Analysis, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you, and bye-bye!